Welcome back to Radio Entrepreneurs. I'm Jonathan Freedman, and our next guest up needs no introduction, but he gets one just the same. Mark Furman of Tarlow, Hart Rodgers. Always good to see you on Radio Entrepreneurs.
Hello, Jonathan. Great to be with you.
So we've got a lot of topical stuff in the world, the legal world as always, and one of which we've heard a lot in the headlines. The new executive order, I believe, that mandates vaccination requirements for employers with 100 plus people. So what generally happens when there's an executive order of that type, and how does it all roll out? How does it get implemented at the organizational level, at the corporate level? Messily, probably.
For presidents love to issue executive orders, particularly on matters that they can't pass laws, let's say, and then they generally get challenged in court of whether it exceeds the president's authorities. Governors do the same thing. So there's always an element of doubt. I mean, the general rule is Congress passes laws. Presidents have the choice to either veto them or sign them, and that's how laws get passed. But executives try to exercise power, and it's a combination of public health and political considerations that go into these things. So I do expect that there will be challenges to the order, but it does, I think, suggest a movement in this country towards a concern that there's so many people who are not vaccinated and don't intend to be vaccinated. And businesses are places where people congregate and they work together, they work closely together. And although we're still in the stage where there's a lot of remote work, a lot of businesses require people to be up close and personal. So I think the impact of this policy by President Biden will extend beyond employers with 100 or more employees, in that I think it gives some cover to smaller companies who want to be more strict, because I think there's a lot of smaller companies that have been following, say, the state or local guidelines or orders, and those create kind of minimum standards. But I think this suggests that people want to be more strict in terms of employee vaccinations. They can do it. So I hear a lot of discussion now about either you have proof of COVID that they've been vaccinated, or that you have to have negative tests that get shared with your employer. Let's call it once a week. Could be another time period.
So it's interesting. We seem to be butting up against a number of issues here. Privacy, HIPAA, individual freedoms, rights. It certainly seems to be a messy landscape that's shaping up, in particular for employers. We're, I guess, trying to do the right thing, in essence, protect their employees and protect their customers and such, and yet the government set something out, and then what happens in the very likely event that we have litigation over this? Both at the federal level, perhaps people indicate suing, I guess, the federal government, which seems to be a losing proposition, but maybe you do win. I don't know if that goes all the way up to the Supreme Court at some point, and then puts us in further murkiness, perhaps, from the employment perspective, where smaller employers are potentially being, I don't know whether we're going to see lawsuits against employers for imposing those mandates, But it seems that we're creating a very murky and messy path forward potentially.
Absolutely. And I think murky is the right word, because what you have here is a clash of rights that we hold dear in this country. And so, when you have a government, you compromise some degree of personal liberty, personal freedom. That's the cost of government. And the debate since before our country was founded was that balance between individual rights and state rights and federal government rights and religious rights. And so it's kind of a clash of things that we hold dear as a country. So we can't eliminate the murkiness and the uncertainty. Employers will certainly be sued because there's all sorts of requirements, reasonable accommodations of people with disabilities. You have the question of people who are allergic to components of these vaccines. You have the religious objectors. So what I like to do is to counsel people, make sure if you're a business owner, you have employers practices, employment practices liability insurance. It's not going to protect you against every claim, but it's going to protect you against a significant amount of claims. And irrespective of the merits of a claim, the cost of litigation is so expensive that to have an insurance company paying the defense cost is a huge benefit, particularly for smaller businesses who can't afford to be self-insured. These policies are reasonably priced. I'm not a salesperson for the industry. I don't get a commission. It's just, I've seen over and over again how things work when there is the argument for coverage, or at least the argument for defense costs, when there's not. And our litigation system is not designed to be fast and efficient. It's designed to kind of dig out every little fact that could be relevant to a claim. And it takes a long time, and it's extraordinarily expensive, and the laws are vague, and applying them to situations is vague. So that's an important thing. And when funds are
is it possible that courts will decide not to hear these cases until something happens at the federal level? I mean, what happens in that instance?
No, that's not possible, because there are state laws too that protect religious freedom, that protect freedom from discrimination if you're handicapped, laws that require reasonable accommodation by employers. So what's reasonable accommodation? Well, perhaps beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and it's not. People look at it differently, just as the 9 judges on the Supreme Court decide cases 5-4 with a fair amount of frequency, because people look at the world differently. And I think this plays out here. I mean, in a passionate way, the pro-vaccine and anti-vaccine, it's just another political passion that in our divided society gets played out. And I think I think it does get exploited by politicians, this division, for their own purposes. But everybody has their own view. But there's the view that, look, we're a community. Our business is a community. We have to take care of each other. We have to take care of our customers. We have to take care of each other's families, which I think the family piece is, many people have family members they're close to who have compromised immune systems, or babies, or babies who are not eligible to be vaccinated.
Right. At this point, children under 12 who are not eligible.
Exactly.
So
how people are pregnant. People are pregnant with underlying medical conditions. I mean, there's just too many issues to make it too simple. So I go with the Jonathan Freedman murky rule, which is, we can't really predict with absolute certainty what you can safely do and what you can't do. So, but there are some general rules, and lawyers try to guide clients, through particular situations and make policies that, to the best of their ability are not discriminatory, and serve the purpose of trying to protect their folks that work with them. So,
and I think that's the good piece of guidance is, if you're going to apply something, apply it uniformly across your organization. Make sure that everybody is treated equally. And hope the future doesn't bring too much more murkiness. It sounds as though we're far from out of the woods on this one. It's interesting to take a U.S.-centric view. I'm not sure these debates are going on in every other country. Government sets out a policy and people say, okay, seems reasonable. So I don't remember anywhere in the Bill of Rights having one that said the right to be stupid, but that seems to be the case in a lot of instances where people take the Bill of Rights and expand it to their own good and own use. So I think we've got a lot more of this to come, Mark. We could probably spend lots of time talking about it. It'll be interesting to see how it shakes out. If clients want to talk with you, or business owners want to speak with you and talk about this or other issues, what's the best way for them to reach out to you and have a meaningful conversation about how to protect themselves?
I can be reached at 617-218-2025 or at mfurman, Furman, at tbhr-law.com.
Mark, it's always a pleasure talking to you. Timely, topical, and as I said, we've bitten off a big one here. I think we're going to have this one for a while, so we'll come back and talk about it in the future.
Look forward to seeing you again soon, Jonathan.
Great. Our guest has been Mark Furman, Tarlow, Hart Rodgers. Always a pleasure on Radio Entrepreneurs, and we'll be right back with another segment.